Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Crypto Labs News. The shakeout in the crypto market continues, now stretching into a second day. We've seen consistent selling and a healthy correction playing out over the past 48 hours. Across the board, the charts have turned red, even on the weekly time frame. And naturally, a lot of panic is starting to creep in. If this is your first time in the crypto space or your first cycle, it's perfectly normal to feel uneasy. Despite the common advice to stay unemotional with your investments, the reality is, money always carries emotion, no matter how much or how little you've put in. But here's the truth. Once you've experienced a full cycle, these dips won't faze you. You'll learn that pullbacks are a natural part of this market. They build liquidity and weed out weak hands. It may sound harsh, but it's how the market resets before the next big move. This pattern isn't new. Think back to the end of 2020. Around November and December, sentiment was crushed, and people were giving up on altcoins like XRP. But come January 2021, the altcoin market exploded, Dogecoin mania included. It's a rinse and repeat cycle. Right now, it's red across the board. Bitcoin dropped 1.7% today and is down nearly 3% on the week. Ethereum is green on both daily and weekly charts. XRP is down 3.7% today and almost 14% for the week. Stellar's down 3.2% today and nearly 15% on the week. SUI is off by 3.7% today, down over 9% weekly. HBAR has dropped 4.2% today and nearly 16% over the past 7 days. These are not shallow pullbacks, but they're also not catastrophic. Many altcoins are still down over 50% from their yearly highs. But zoom out, and the picture shifts. XRP is still up over 400% year over year. XLM is up 306%, SUI 371%, and HBAR over 250%. So yes, we've taken a hit in the short term, but the longer-term gains remain intact. There's no need to panic. These corrections are necessary. They reset the market and investor sentiment. So, why are we selling off? What's going on behind the scenes? It's all about resetting sentiment. We may see this continue for a few more days, maybe into next week, and that's fine. What you don't want is to get shaken out right before the biggest altcoin move of this cycle. Historically, these shakeouts come just before the strongest push higher. Right now, the total crypto market cap sits at $3.83 trillion. The fear and greed index is down to 66, and the altcoin season index has dropped to 37, indicating that dominance is shifting back to Ethereum and Bitcoin, just as we've been expecting. Ethereum, in particular, is worth watching closely now. It looks like we're entering phase 2 of this market, where ETH begins to lead. As ETH and BTC dominance rises, it tends to weigh on altcoins. But this is the transitional phase we need before the real altcoin explosion begins. Let's look at the 7-day performance. XRP is down nearly 14%, XLM about 15%, SUI 10%, and HBAR close to 16%. That may sound brutal to new investors, but seasoned holders know this is just par for the course. In crypto, 30% to 50% drops aren't abnormal mid-cycle. The market moves fast in both directions. If you want the massive upside, you have to stomach the dips too. Charts reflect this reality. XRP hasn't changed much on the daily. It's consolidating near previous highs from January and March. This is what we want. Sideways movement to build a floor before the next breakout. July was huge. XRP climbed from the mid-$2s to about $3.70. So naturally, August might cool down a bit. That's healthy. If history repeats, September should bring the next big impulse, especially with the Fed expected to cut rates around then. XLM is in a similar spot. It's testing a demand zone and ideally needs to hold support around 39 cents. Maybe even 37.5 if it wicks down a bit. The key is to form a base here, not collapse further. HBAR lost the 24-cent level, which was a short-term support. Now we want to see it form a higher low and maybe retest the fair value gap down near 21.5 cents before bouncing. That's totally normal. SUI is also nearing a key trend line retest, which we expected after hitting resistance. Despite the red candles, ETF inflows are near all-time highs. M2 supply has pushed to a new record, $22 trillion. Stocks remain near all-time highs. The US dollar continues to weaken, and nobody's interested in holding it. Where will that capital flow? Into stocks and crypto, which explains why these markets are still so elevated despite volatility. So yes, altcoins are hurting while Bitcoin and Ethereum hold their ground. As BTC and ETH gain dominance, alts take the hit. That's part of the transition. Bitcoin has been rejecting off resistance around 120K. We're now watching for a retest of the 112K to 116K range. If we lose daily support at 117.2K, we could see a sharper correction, but I expect Bitcoin to hold in that lower range and build a floor just like the altcoins. In these moments, the best thing newer investors can do is nothing. Seriously, don't panic sell. Don't try to outtrade the market. Let it breathe. This shakeout might get a bit worse before it gets better, but that's part of the process. The next move is likely the biggest one. So hang in there. Stay patient. Don't let fear lead your decisions. This is just another chapter in the cycle, and the next one could be explosive. If you found this helpful, make sure to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications. Follow us on Twitter and hop into our free Discord. Links are in the description below. This is Crypto Labs News. Thanks for watching, and stay strong out there.